accurate and authoritative information with regard to subject covered. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, LLC, BCM, a registered investment advisor. BCM and Martin Heritage Group are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BCM, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to claim paying ability of the insurance company and not offered by BCM. Index or fixed annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restriction fees, and surrender charges.
Oh my God, what do you think of this? Mr. Thomas C. Martin, we're on a roll here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Are we good?
We're good.
Got a little echo going there.
Yeah, we're all right.
We're good now? Okay.
We're good.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for having me back, Henry. This has been a pleasure to be back up here in Denver. I was actually out in South Dakota this last weekend, and my flight got canceled back to Denver, and I had to stay a couple of days extra with a couple of my buddies. So I want to give a special shout out because I stayed a couple of days longer than maybe my welcome. So thank you to Andre and Tammy and Dysart. When I got back to Denver here, you guys had like 2 feet of snow on the ground. I was like, I navigated through that. So I'm glad to be back in the great state of Colorado. It's always sunshine in here when I get out here, so it's always a pleasure. If you haven't been tuning in to my show over the last, this is the 4th round now. So I'm getting a little, I think I'm getting a little, I got a little, I don't know, I'm getting my swag, I think, a little bit. So if you haven't been tuning in, my name is Thomas C. Martin, and this is MHG's Power 30. And my goal here of this station, of this show rather, is to give you an understanding of financial solutions to help you sustain and protect and grow your assets. But mainly, I want to build influence and spread awareness of financial vehicles here in the community of Colorado and also the other communities that this station is being broadcasted in. And I believe it's global, so we have a global reach. Now, I am the principal of MHG. We are based here in Loveland, Colorado, but I go throughout the state of Colorado. I also have a reach throughout the U.S. as well. Brief history: I started back in 2014 doing financial seminars, and now I'm a full-service financial services firm, which helps my clients build, sustain, and grow their wealth, protect their wealth, and also give them investment advice. If you want to find me on social media, please go to my Facebook page. It's at Martin Heritage Group. You can also go to my IG. It's at Martin Heritage Group. My Twitter, I'm still getting used to using Twitter, but it's at MHG RPLLC. So please go there as well, and then you can obviously go to my website, martinheritagegroupllc.com. You know, we can turn it down now. We can turn the music down just a little bit. Yes. Let's get into it. Now, today, I got 30 minutes. I think last time I went over my time, so I want to be a little bit more concise and precise in this particular show. But there is something that I want to bring up really quick that Henry stumped me with last time. He asked me, he said, Thomas, what's a double indemnity policy? We were talking a little bit about life insurance and cash value, but basically what that is, if you tuned in last time, and maybe we have short-term memories, or maybe we don't remember the last show, but just for those who may have wanted to know what that is, maybe you looked it up, but it's an accidental policy. So if you have a double indemnity policy, that means you have accident insurance. If you were to die in a car accident, they pay you out a certain amount based on, you know, whatever the death benefit is. Okay. Now today, what we're going to be talking about is actually we're going to be talking about the different sectors. Now, I don't know, market sectors, I don't know, there's 11 of them. I don't know if we're going to get through all of them. I'm going to do my best, and the ones that we don't get through, then we'll cover next time, if that makes sense. But before I start, everybody knows who's been watching this show for the last 3 to 4 times, or 3 times rather, is that I have a flow, I have a pattern that I want to go with. And the first thing that I want to start out with is the term of the month. You can always go to my website to look this up as well, Martin Heritage Group, LLC.com. But the term of the month right now is inflation. And what does inflation mean? Inflation is basically the decline of purchasing power in currencies for goods or services over a period of time. This is something that I think is quite alarming. We've inoculated we've inoculated our economy with over close to $6 trillion in stimulus money. And I'm not against it. I'm not against, individuals getting those $1,400 stimulus checks. I know that they can be helpful to some. But when we think about it on a global perspective, we've put over 40% of new money into the market, more than we've ever had in the last 240 years of the U.S. So what does that mean? We have a lot more money in the actual economy. And what can happen as a result of that? You guys are probably seeing right now, if you've been watching the markets, the 10-year Treasury, I believe it hit 1.75 earlier today. I was watching it. And that can impact interest rates. The higher the inflation, the more expensive things are going to cost for you. It's probably good for financials. So if you're looking at the different stocks and things to look at, we're going to talk about the financial sector as well. Those things are like your J.P. Morgans. They're booming right now, right? Because a lot of the money's moving to the financials. And what does that mean? That means that when they loan out money, they can loan it at a higher rate because the interest rates are going to go up. Okay, so let's jump back in it.
Just real quick before you go away from that, you know how you were talking the inflation part, and interest rates could go up. Now they said they're going to lock in the mortgage interest rates for 2 years. How does that affect the mortgage interest rate sectors?
I was watching CNBC today. I mean, that's what's coming out of the Fed, is that they're not going to increase the rates.
But it raises the cost of housing, doesn't it?
Potentially. I mean, when you have inflation, everything goes up.
Yeah,
I mean,
everything costly.
All products and goods and services tend to have a tendency to go up when you have inflation.
So the little house that I bought for $4,000 is now worth $780,000.
Did you really buy that for $4,000?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Look how old I am, dude.
Good for you.
I told you I babysat Jesus.
How long have you been in that house?
No, I'm just telling you.
Okay. $4,000. I'm thinking, like, where's this guy live at? Right? I mean, Denver right now is just. I mean, the prices for homes in Denver are just. I mean, they're incredibly high. I mean,
that's what you call inflation, though. That's what you just said.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that. I mean, obviously, I'm not a real estate broker. I'm not in that industry, but I have some general working knowledge. And everything has a bubble. If you continuously see things go up, it has to plateau, and then potentially what goes up must come down. That's how things work. It's cyclical. But to jump into the segments, we're going to start out. There's 11 different segments. I think it's really important that you know when you're looking at your portfolios, whether they're ETFs, mutual funds, however your portfolio is structured, they're structured in when it comes to equity, stocks, they're structured in these different segments. Now, these segments, it's called the Global Industry Classification Standard. And as I was speaking about financials, that's an actual sector, okay? And the sectors, they change. One might be performing better than the other, and they can be impacted by interest rates. They can be impacted by market conditions. So you need to understand how your actual portfolio was built. And I believe that me kind of going through this a little bit will give you an understanding of what to look for. So we're going to start out with the energy sector. The energy sector, I have friends that are in Texas. I think the cost of the barrel for one barrel of gas, or for oil rather, it was down, and I think about a year ago in the low 30s. Now it's up towards 60, but $60 a barrel, and that has impacted a lot of people. I mean, we obviously seen the gas prices go back
Now,
up.
they blame it on the weather sometimes. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't understand how.
Absolutely. You know, if there's an issue where production is impacted, you know, in regards to, you know, the oil's being produced, and that can affect the price of oil. If there's a war, that can affect the price of oil. If there's political risk where the oil is being produced, that can affect the price of oil. Supply and demand can affect the price of oil. So yeah, weather definitely, especially down what happened in Houston or not in Houston, but in Texas overall last month, I believe, when I came in here. Houston was definitely, they were on the heels of a bad storm. You know, obviously that's dealing with global warming. But that impacted the energy sector. And the energy sector, it contains companies that are in oil and drilling, solar, and also coal producing companies. So if you look at your statements and you look at the top 10, you look at the top 10 positions in your statements, if they're mutual funds or ETFs, or even if they're concentrated positions, if they're actual companies, see how that is allocated. Over the last year, I mean year to date rather, coming from January 1 till now, the energy sector has been up 35%.
Now, Goldman Sachs was tied into some of that, the energy company that went belly up because of the costs. They were selling off to all these other ones, and the cost kind of messed up a lot of things. Did you see that one?
You got to be a little bit more clear. So
Goldman Sachs was the actual money flow to the big energy company that supplied all the energy to all these houses and people who they lost all their power.
You mean the energy, the power grid company down there in Texas?
Yes,
That's what you're talking about?
There was these rich people who borrowed from Goldman Sachs.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
they bought this company.
Okay.
And it couldn't support what happened to them because the demand was so great.
Mm-hmm.
So people were getting bills for $10,000.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, you were talking about inflation and what happened here. And these are part of the things that go on when you do investments. Now, their investment people are broke. All of them are broke now.
Potentially, you know, I really can't speak to that because I know that it's
we were talking energy, so I was just wondering if you knew about that in Texas.
I know that, yes. You know, the demand they weren't prepared for what they were,
yes.
for the demand on the system. And obviously there was a few people that stepped down from the boards there, and yeah. So
how do you cash out on that?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and I do think that they need to regulate it better. You know, any event that something like that happens.
That comes from deregulation, right, on the energy sector. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, there's regulation that's involved in the energy sector. You know, so that when things like this happen, that we don't see a massive power outage.
Yes, and that could be very hurtful.
Yeah, so we definitely got to hold those individuals accountable. The next sector I want to talk about is materials. Now, this includes companies that are engaged in discovery, development, and the processing of raw materials. This is like mining companies, lumber companies that are going out there finding ore for your vehicles. Also, forestry companies, are they making forestry products?
Does it include like coppers?
So anything that's dealing with metals and different types of ores, yeah, absolutely.
Because
metal ore, rather.
Isn't that used for a lot of that is used up there for the solar?
For solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's another sector. You know, but we'll talk about. And some of these sectors, they have crossover, and they have subsectors as well.
Oh, subsectors.
Yeah, they have subsectors.
How to get, yeah.
Absolutely. But these are the umbrellas,
the big stuff.
if you will, and we're going to describe them. I'm going to keep it very high level. We don't want to really dig too deep into it, but I keep it really high level. But when you're looking at these 11 different sectors, see how your portfolio is structured. And then when you go on to some of these channels and you see the markets, and certain, like you may see technology is up, you might see healthcare is up, those are a couple sectors as well. How is that impacting your particular portfolio? And you might want to have that conversation with your advisor. Maybe you want to scale back. Maybe you see some things that are going to be happening in the future. then you want to scale up. Maybe you want to be more bullish, or maybe you want to be more bearish, based on on what we're looking at over the next several months to even years in regards to those particular sectors.
And if you just joined us here,
Yeah.
you're listening to KUHS Radio TV Denver with Power 30 and your host Thomas C. Martin, talking about all of your investment portfolios and how they're affecting you to this day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in, giving me another shot here this afternoon at MHG's Power 30. And we're just talking about the different sectors, if you've tuned in, and how your portfolio can be structured when it comes to equities. Okay. The next sector we want to talk about is industrials. These are companies that produce capital goods like machinery, equipment, or supplies for manufacturing. And they're going to be concentrated in aerospace, defense, also in industrial construction and metal fabrication, and they're going to be also sensitive to market contraction. And what I mean by that, it's like when you have things like these interest rates going up, the cost of materials may cost more, so this particular sector may contract.
And you know how you said that. I did hear something about housing is being driven by lumber that's gone up by $25,000. So that would apply to the lumber area where they're manufacturing or creating all this lumber. It's costing $25,000 more to go into your home. That's why the cost is going up.
Absolutely, yeah. The cost to construct a home now is just becoming horrendous. I mean, but people are willing to pay that.
Yeah, they're
willing to pay it. They want to get into their homes. They're not working in the offices. They need more space. So I mean, that's another area that's fueling the home buying, because people want to have more of a I guess more space if they're going to be at home more. It makes sense, right?
Does the auto industry go under industrial?
No, that's going to go under. Let's see here. That's going to go. It's a part of it. A part of it can.
Like you said,
there's crossovers. There's crossovers. But when we think about materials, and we think about materials, we think about the metal ore, which is what they make the cars with. A lot of it. Even the different parts, that are in the cars, that may be metal, or maybe even technology.
And now that you said that, I was looking at the differences of Tesla compared to GM, Ford, and all of them put together. Tesla has just overridden them all, because, like you said, creating that Tesla vehicle, they need all the ores, correct? They need the technology, like you just said. So technology is a different sector that comes into that car, right?
Yeah, and I'm just wanted to go look at Tesla really quick. I know they have had they've scaled back quite a bit. They obviously were in the 600s. And
well, I seen them going to China.
What's that, Tesla?
Tesla. So that's why I said they all of a sudden skyrocketed upwards with their trucks, their electrical. Now that is the parts and all you got to put together batteries to go electric, right? So isn't that considered under industrial?
So no. So there's multiple. When you think about the technology, that's going to be under under the technology sector. When you're thinking about batteries, and
you have to create those.
Yeah.
There's something that goes inside those batteries, though, that they have.
Oh, absolutely,
mining.
Absolutely. I'm not exactly sure what those, what in regards to the chemicals that are involved, lithium.
Yes,
if that's what you're talking about.
And the cost of manufacturing, and if your portfolio, if you invest in some of those.
For sure.
Because, like we were talking, Tesla is shooting up there.
When I think about companies that are growing substantially, you see a lot of people that are flowing to those companies, right? But what are the companies that are around it?
That's right.
That are supplying those companies.
Yes.
Those are companies worth looking at as well, because they get contracts. They get,
they're like 10, 20-year contracts.
Yeah,
right?
they get growth. So those might be companies, satellite companies, that you want to look around who are supplying Tesla. If they have for instance, if we have like a major order of Boeing, from a particular, company, let's just say United or whatever, what companies around Boeing, if they get a large order like that, are supplying Boeing? Those are companies you might want to look at too when it comes to investing.
So all the different parts, and like when you invest, you don't put, like you say, all your eggs in one basket. You look around it and kind of
Yeah.
build around. Let's say you have a little in Boeing, but then you also put a little bit around on the companies outside of it.
For sure, for sure. You want to look at what companies are supplying that company. And if we're talking about investments, you know, I always say to people, like, when you're looking at different positions, never really get into stuff you don't understand. You know,
That's what Thomas C. Martin's here about.
Yeah.
His phone number is right behind us if you want to catch that phone number. It's scrolling nice and slow for you, and you can reach him at that number. You want to text him, you can call him. He's ready to answer all the questions for any type of investment that you may be thinking, and he would help you in any way. Like I said, we're not giving you
advice. Not online anyway,
Yeah.
you know, but obviously if I can do business in your
personally.
state, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's situation different. We don't want to make any blanket statements. And basically what I'm doing is just giving you an understanding of what the different sectors. Going back to materials though, if you were to look at the materials like those mining companies, those lumber companies, they're sensitive to, you know, to market rates, if you will. That particular sector is up about 8.25% right now. 8.25% this year.
And you know how you say that. Also, could weather affect their output and cause the stock market to move with weather alone?
Yeah, absolutely. Weather, I mean, yeah, when we have natural disasters and you have manufacturers, particularly in that area, you know, that can be impacted when it comes to supply and demand. If they can't supply the market, then obviously, or if they can't get certain materials in or materials out, obviously that can impact the price for sure.
And or, like you said, Texas, the price of copper and plastics and solar to repair everything that was damaged by the storm could really increase those companies.
Oh, absolutely. Those contracts are going to be made. There are contracts that are going to be made. Infrastructure has to be built. You know, behind the scenes, there obviously are deals going on. And you want to make sure when that information becomes public, then you can look at those companies and say.
And you can help that, right? Let's say somebody has some money that says, I'd like to invest into where all those tornadoes hit because they're going to be needing all this steel and, you know, all this lumber. They're going to be needing all this product. You would know how to direct that way?
So what I do, my process, Henry, is I try to get an understanding of what they're looking at overall. Well, what are their ultimate goals? I am a fiduciary, so I look for the best interest of the client. I'm not a stock picker. What I do is I look for the long term.
And I love the way he just said stock picker because he used the right verbiage right there, just to let you know he just ain't going to steer you the wrong way.
For sure.
His number's right behind us, so you can, you know, pick it up off our scrolling screen back there and call him.
For sure. Yeah, give me a call, shoot me a text. We can have a conversation about what your overall goals are. And like I was telling Henry before, you know, when you're trying to get to your ultimately maybe retirement, or maybe you're trying to get your kids' school paid, or maybe you want to buy a house. I mean, whatever your financial goals are, I try to help you navigate through the windy roads of the markets.
That's the way.
Yeah.
Right now, it was getting kind of windy. You know, it's like you said, there's this big influx of money coming into the system, and that's going to change a lot of the landscape of what's going on. And you know how to, I'm sure, to navigate any kind of monies to help you, like you say, get college funds going, get your life insurance in place, get all the different things that you're good at.
Full service, you know. So we're looking at your total financial picture when we're talking about your investment strategies. I just don't want to say, okay, you got 10 grand here or 100 grand there. What's your overall financial goal? Where are you looking to go? And hopefully that we can put a plan together to help you get there. Okay. I think we're 3 down. I think I got 5 minutes left, Henry. Henry's been asking me these questions. He does this all the time.
It's good though.
You know,
it's good dialogue.
Yeah.
Your show, I mean,
For sure.
It's
Absolutely.
It's moving really nicely. Everybody likes to hear.
Absolutely.
You know, because I'll get some text. Hey, that was a great question, or you know.
Absolutely.
Because it's probably something that you guys may want to ask Thomas. And Thomas is very good at what he does. The number's right behind us, so you can text him or call him for any of your financial needs in terms of the stock market or stock.
Definitely give me a
or
call.
other things, insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. We look at insurance. We look at not only just your portfolio insurance, disability. You know, that's a major deal as well. I do want to knock out one more. I think this is huge. I think we've covered 3 different sectors. Like I said, there's 11. I don't know if we're going to get through them all, and obviously we haven't. But next time I come in, we'll touch a few, and then we'll go on to the next subject later on in the year. But I want to talk about consumer discretionary. And what is that? Consumer discretionary is a sector that comprises of industries that are non-essential to the well-being of consumers when the economy changes. So what does that mean? That means these are things that you don't necessarily need to have in order to survive. So when we have economic downturns, recessions, these are very, very sensitive, or in my world, we say elastic, meaning that the demand will decrease substantially in the event that there's a recession. What are some of these industries? These are restaurants, these are media companies, this is apparel, clothes companies, companies that are, obviously manufacturing clothes, retail, a lot of the malls, obviously the traffic has been, down because of COVID. A lot of these companies have been impacted. Restaurant industry has been impacted. They've seen a large amount.
How about the entertainment industry?
Yeah, obviously, the movies, people are not going to if that's
live music?
Live music, yes.
That's big.
What is the place here? What is the place here in Denver? Jazz at
Live at Jack's.
Live at Jack's. They shut down, right?
They shut down. El Chapultepec
yes,
shut down.
Yes, they've shut down.
A lot of
There's another one. There's another one here too. What, Nocturne? Are they still?
Yeah, they're all getting knocked out. So it's like it's sad because they were such good places to go.
For sure.
Go to and check out.
Yeah, great atmospheres, great musicians that came in from around, the U.S.
And like you said, restaurants, my God.
Absolutely. Those have definitely been impacted substantially. Okay, well, I don't want to take too much time. I got a few more minutes left here, so I want to close with this. Definitely, this stimulus package was massive. It was massive. It's going to go to a lot of the small businesses. It's going to go to a lot of the individuals versus the other two packages that came out that was very top heavy. So we're going to see an influx into the economies. But when it comes to individuals who maybe have money sitting on the sidelines and they're worried about taxation, because what do you do when you have that much money that's out in the economy and the government is spending? Taxation becomes an issue later down the line. So if you're worrying about taxes, I have a webinar that's going to be playing on Tuesday, the 23rd. You can go on my website and register for it, and we're going to give you some alternatives to protect you against some of the tax hikes that may come down the line in the future. $6 trillion.
Wow.
$6 trillion in the last year. Over 40% of the money supply in the last year has been inoculated into the actual into the economy. So that's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
Now,
and if you're concerned about it, let's talk. What's that?
And what was interesting is I seen Jamie Dimon,
for sure.
up on 60 Minutes and said, "We don't print the money, we just put it in digits." I sat back in my chair. I said, "Did I just hear that?"
Yeah, for sure.
That's real.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They don't even print the money. They just put it into the bank as digits and put out the digits.
For sure.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I mean it
There's
is. I mean it's we're gonna become a digital economy. I don't know if you want to get that computer chip in your hand when you have to go to the store and scan like that.
Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, hello. This is the new phone, brother. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
You know what's crazy about that though? If that does happen, which I think it will. Just think about the money laundering. It's gonna be an issue. You can't. If
that's why they got Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, that too, right?
They got Bitcoin.
When you think about regulating it would be a lot easier because you can see the actual digital currency in people's accounts a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to think about. But I do want to leave you with this. The last part of the show is some inspiration, and I want to say it's everything that you can imagine is real. That's by Pablo Escobar. Psych, just kidding. It's Pablo Picasso.
That's
Pablo Escobar.
You were waiting to say that too.
Yeah. No, it's Pablo Picasso, and I believe that whatever you can see in your mind, if you believe it, and you get out there and you put the work in, you can make it happen.
And create it.
That's what I'm going to leave them with. I think we're okay. All right. I think you want to put on that. Is it Desiree?
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
have
That's
Desiree ready to
my
go.
outro. It reminds me of my second to oldest sister. This song, it came back out in '94. You gotta be cool. You gotta be strong. I think that you gotta be wiser. Yes. Yeah, that's it right there. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate you listening to me again. Give me a call. Shoot me a text, 651-503-6064. You can also go to my website, email info@martinheritagegroupllc.com. Shoot me an email. We can talk about it. I want to earn your business. Let's talk about what you're looking to accomplish. All right, I think that's it. I think we're good.
Oh, you bet. But we'll let that play over the radio portion. And then we'll say goodbye to you all out there, but not really. We always sit back and just talk.
Absolutely.
Even though we're not off.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the show? Came out great.
I think we did well. You know, I knew what I was doing. I was preparing my presentation. I just knew that 11 sectors. Oh my God! I don't know,
That's a lot.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through those.
You got through a lot of them. You got what, 4 or 5?
I knocked out about 4 of them. You know, so. But I think it's really important when anybody's looking at their stock portfolio. Where is their portfolio concentrated? Is it in the financials? Is it in technology? Is it in the energy? Is it in industrials? Is it in consumer discretion? Think about it.
And there's a lot of people who can go into certain areas and they just know where to move it. And you're there for them, right, Tom?
Yeah, I help them navigate.
I like that word.
I help them navigate.
I picture you with your hat up on top of the ship.
I help them navigate. Yeah, we gotta be careful online here. You know, you gotta be careful here.
I did not say a word. You warned me. You said don't be saying that. You know, so I got you, Tom.
Absolutely.
But this has been a great show. You know, you've
Absolutely.
really brought in. This is only the 4th show, but man, it's really been trending.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like what you bring to the show and what
sure.
you have to say. And you know, I'm ready for the dialogue with you and things I hear and see, like we talked about Tesla. And the reason I said that because they broke into China. Now, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's massive.
That's massive.
I mean, that's a massive. I mean, you're talking about over 1 billion people.
Yes.
I think they're at 1.3 billion now.
That's right. And just like how the Apple product broke into China too.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Apple product, once you hit China, that many people, you really score big.
Yeah, I mean, China's right on our tail, man.
Yeah.
I was just looking at. I was reading an article in regards to their Navy.
Jeez.
Their Navy. They're the largest Navy in the world now.
And they build ships.
They build ships. I mean, they in regards to destroyers, or in regards to nuclear ships,
Big stuff.
They can't compete with us. But when it comes to like destroyers and maybe aircraft carriers,
And the one thing I thought about what you were talking about, industrial. Now, I did remember Hyundai was this massive corporation that went under. And they were building ships and computers and monitors and TVs and cars and everything. Now, it was because of the economy they shifted and they were borrowing so big.
Yeah.
They said, you're too big to fail. They bailed them out and they failed again.
Yeah. When you think about companies that have a lot of debt, like for instance utilities.
Yes.
That's another sector.
That's the one I told you about in Texas.
Yeah, utilities.
And it's the same Goldman Sachs that was bought up by J.P. Morgan. They're still there making some serious mistakes.
For sure. Yeah, so they have a lot of debt on their books, and when interest rates go up, it's going to be more expensive for them to borrow.
Yeah.
So guess what? They're going to have more debt on their books. So it's hard for them to be profitable with more debt.
Well, this is really nice.
Yeah.
I love your show, and for those that are still watching, we always do a side chat here, so that way you can kind of get in on the backside of what it looks like when Thomas C. Martin comes in here. So when he walks in, I says, "Man, you ain't doing anything with those good looks, Mr. Thomas C. Martin. Let me borrow some, man." He just looked at me.
You can take them.
He just looked at me and started chuckling, started laughing. He said, "Yeah,
You can take these things, man.
It's been real. It's been fun. Check us out next month. Thomas C. Martin will be back with another segment of Power 30. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank
It was a
you.
great show.
Appreciate you
And
as
we'll
well.
see y'all later.
Absolutely.